Hi everyone, Nick here, and today we've got another F1 2020 League race video for you. And these are the highlights of round 2 of season 3 of the Serious Racing League. And for those of you who recognise tracks by looking at footage of people racing on tracks, this is the Sochi Autodrome in Sochi, which for geography fans is in Russia. And it's home of the Russian Grand Prix. And this is me doing a bit of pre-race practice. As you can see, there's been a little bit of a shambles, but that's kind of what practice is for, getting the shambles out of the system before the main event happens later on in the evening. Now, I was a lot less confident coming into this race. Confidence when you're driving a Williams with real performance is not really something that kind of actually exists. You're kind of stretching between, I don't know, maybe you can get a decent result and get some points. That's the top end, bottom end of this is going to be a shambles and I'm going to have a bad time. I was kind of in the middle. I just thought, here I don't feel like that the car is going to really help me here, and I'm not sure I have the ability to overcome it, but that's okay. That's okay. That's basically what this season is. We're going to try and overcome the difficulties we have with the car and do as well as we can as a driver. Qualifying went okay, but I was never really happy with how I was driving. My first lap was alright, but it was just a bit, I don't know, steady, plodding. You can just see these corners. I'm not really throwing it in, not really exploring the limits of the track, and I'm just not happy with how I'm going there. And we ended up doing a 1 minute 33.4. On my following lap, I was a couple of tenths up heading into the final sector, but the final sector in Russia is really tricky and it's really easy to mess up, so we're doing okay going through the horrible off-camber chicane there, and we're still a couple of tenths up, but we've lost a little bit on that exit there. 2 more corners to go, lob it in there, looking okay-ish, but we lose a couple more hundredths there, and in the end only improved by 0.166 to a 0.2, and we were still 15th, which was not good enough. So it's time to put that right with my final flying lap. So easy flat through turn 1, barely even a corner, into turn 2. I always find you want to brake a little bit earlier than you think to get the car rotated, so you can just get on with going through this long left-hand corner, which in these cars is essentially a straight. It's flat the whole way, and we're very close to our previous best time there. This corner, deceptively difficult, easy to cut it, easy to run wide, but we've lost a little bit of time there and a couple of tenths down now, which isn't great. We've done okay through there though, and managed to get it back within a tenth of our personal best, and we start lobbing it through some of these corners, or trying our best to anyway. So we're creeping up on our personal best, but still a tenth off through the tricky right-hander. I find that one really difficult, especially with no racing line, because where do you brake? There's no brake markers or anything, so it's all about feel. And we're going to enter the final sector 1.5 tenths down, so we need a good sector here. Really good corner through there, and we're actually now green just for a fraction of a second. We get too excited and get a bit too early on the throttle. So through that section then, again, we've been a little bit braver than before, and we're just about sneaking to green, although it's possibly just about to go. There we go, into red. Trying to get through these last 2 corners as quickly as possible, turning very early there, and we snip off 74 thousandths to do a 1:33.206, which at the time was good enough for 14th, but by the fact you can't see me on this leaderboard tells you they ended up being 15th. So yeah, 1.1 off, and you know, only a couple of tenths off being in the top 10. But it's not conducive to building a nice, enthusiastic, positive mental attitude for a race. But anyway, 15th on the grid. Big start here, because it's a very, very tricky, on this game anyway, start. to go down in the run to turn 2. So we get away alright, a lot better than Maxi in front of us, who we're going to overtake here and jump him to go up a place already. We've lost one to Sunny, so we're still net 15th. The cars in front of us are all swarming around, so we're going to be a little bit cautious, and there's going to be, let's be kind and say, all sorts of shambles. And we've managed to jump up to 11th place before the virtual safety car comes out. So I think we did well there because of our start. The cars in front of us seemed to get a better start and pulled away. The cars behind us got worse starts and dropped back, which meant we weren't really under any pressure going into the first corner, which I think really helped because it meant that I could be reasonably cautious, didn't have to slam the brakes on, didn't have to go too early, anything like that. We could just go through it nicely and just line it up properly, and then when the other people crashed into each other, took each other out, ran wide, cut turn 2, cut turn 3, whatever, we were nicely in control of our car, and well, there we go, we could get the job done. And halfway around the lap we've lost a little bit of time to the car in front, but it doesn't really matter too much. It's only the first lap, and the train hopefully will mean we can catch up with the cars ahead pretty sharpish. And of course, one of the most important things after a restart is don't ruin it. I have previously spun on restarts. It's not ideal. We've not lost any places. That counts to me as a good restart. So end of that lap, a couple more people pit because they have got damage under the first lap shambles, and everything after that, which means we're up in the points. We're 9th, which from 15th is a pretty decent response. Unfortunately, we don't really have any pace at this point, so we go a little bit wide there, and at this point we're thinking starting on mediums wasn't a good thing to do. It's really cloudy, as you can see, and that just means the grip goes down, and at this track there's barely any grip whatsoever, which means that it's going to be very easy for us to do something a little bit silly, like make a mistake, run wide in a corner, and maybe get ourselves a warning for exceeding track limits, which is exactly what I've just done there. Not ideal, as long as we don't do another 2 of those later in the race. Anyway, end of lap 2, start of lap 3, and as is traditional, DRS is enabled. Unfortunately for us, we've got a turbocharged rocket ship of a Renault behind us, and we're going to have a bit of trouble defending here. We get somewhat rudely squeezed a little bit to the left, minimum amount of room left, but never mind. But we managed to come back really well, use a bit of ERS and fuel mix, and are able to get up the inside into turn 3. So that's good. What isn't good is Wiggins has completely spun it on the left hand side, hit a wall, and has brought the safety car out, which at this point wasn't really of a massive amount of help to anyone. It was too early to pit, unless you had damage or really wanted to get your tyres gone. And yeah, just backed the pack up, put everyone in a nice big bundle, and by the end of lap 5, when everyone was released as the safety car came in, we were up to 6th place. Pretty decent. Unfortunately, remember that Renault we had behind us in the shape of Maxi? It's still there, and it's still fast. He doesn't have DRS this time, but he does not need DRS because he is very, very fast. And yeah, there you go. Again, not the most generous in terms of leaving space, but he got the job done, fine, and he has to get on with it. I appreciate that, so never mind. My race isn't really with Maxi in his Renault at this point. My race is with the 2 cars behind me, Coulthard and Jerome, who are in the Alfa Romeo and Haas respectively, fellow crap car drivers. So we don't want to let them get through. They're on the same tyres as us as well, but you can see we've dropped back quite a bit from Maxi, and Coulthard is now tenths behind us and coming up to a long straight. So this is where I started getting worried that maybe I was going to keep on going backwards, not just backwards to fast cars, to other cars. And as you can see, Coulthard goes up the inside here. I was convinced he went off the track there on the left hand side as part of overtaking me there, but I think he may have just kept it on the white line. Not entirely sure, but close enough. Anyway, start of lap 8. There has been a shambles involving DP and Wiggins. Nothing new there then, and that's brought the virtual safety car out. But again, it's too early really to do anything, so all it did was just slow us down for a little bit. And all it really did was hold up Hamilton behind me, because he was in his AlphaTauri, having stopped under the full safety car, and was fancying getting past me, a SAP. And as you can see, he is way past me before we get to the corner. No problems there. And it's just all about minimising any time lost there. After that, it kind of got a bit boring, if I'm honest. I kind of just ended up about a second or so behind Coulthard, and a second or so ahead of Tony behind me. So I wasn't really getting DRS off of Coulthard in front of me. Tony wasn't getting DRS off of me, and it was all kind of pedestrian. The problem being, of course, you've got these tyres, they're medium tyres. I'm going for another few laps. Nothing really I can do there. A bit of rich fuel I can use after the safety car periods and try and use a bit of that, but I don't know, I wanted to save a bit for later on in the race when I had soft tyres and could attack. And it was kind of just plodding along, hoping for something to happen later on in the race. Now, fortunately, towards the end of the stint and at the start of lap 13, I did actually start making some places forward. Now, admittedly, I made 3 places there from people pitting. But you can see here we have finally got DRS on Coulthard ahead. Weren't able to do anything with it there because we were just a little bit too far back. But on the following lap, on lap 14, we were able to overtake Semi, who pitted, to go up into 5th place. There you go. And we had a much better run this time. So we used all our ERS, DRS, rich fuel, thinking about maybe bailing out and just go a little bit late on the brakes and get the job done nicely. And we're up into 4th place in this piece of trash car. Now this is all a bit silly and pointless because we were entering the end of our stints, so why we were battling each other I'm not really sure. So Coulthard now is thinking, well, okay, well, you've overtaken me, I'd quite fancy being 4th again. So he goes up the inside in the start of sector 3, much cleaner and nicer than the previous effort in there. So well played, Coulthard. And this was all very well and good, but at this point I felt like his tyres were going off, and obviously so did he, because he decided to pit. So I hope he enjoyed his 4th place for about 15-20 seconds there. So he got that before pitting. At this point I wasn't really sure what to do, because I thought having that undercut might actually really help him. So should I pit immediately? But then 12 laps on used soft tyres. I didn't fancy it, so I stayed out one more lap and ended up pitting at the end of lap 16. So I meant I only had to do 11 laps at the end on my tyres, and I thought that would be completely fine on soft tyres. So the question as ever is, what will happen when I do my one and only pit stop? So we pitted when I was 4th, remember. We don't have any time penalties this time. No damage to make, any wing changes, nothing like that. And we are absolutely plummeting down the leaderboard like a stone. So that's 16th place. We are now only ahead of 2 cars on the track. And Coulthard is, well, he's 3.6, 0.7, 0.8. The undercut has worked really nicely. My only hope at this point is that his tyres are going to go off, and at the end of a stint I'll be able to make up 3-4 seconds worth of difference. And if you believe that, then you'll believe anything. but there's still stuff to fight for. People in front of us have got penalties. Some people might still have to stop if they stopped really early on in the race. The one thing we obviously don't want to start doing here is picking up track limit warnings. So we've got one there. Not ideal. Running a little bit wide has cost us there. So that's 2 warnings. And I'm sure you can guess what's about to happen here as we inexplicably cut the final corner and get ourselves a time penalty. Which, when you look at the cars in front, they all have time penalties. That means I'm not going to gain as much on them as I would have done before. Could cost us at the end. Cost us in the last race a bit of a time penalty. So we have to have a look and hope that that's not going to happen again this time. Right. We're now up to 12th place on lap 22, and we've got Port and Maverick ahead of us, and they're battling each other. We're not gaining on a huge amount, which is slightly disappointing, but then Port helps us out massively by spinning, coming through that chicane. It's a really tricky chicane, so not surprised that people are making mistakes there. And that obviously is really bad for Port, but it really helps us out, not only by the fact we gain a position, but also because that means that Maverick in front of us doesn't have Port in front of him, giving him DRS. And we managed to gain quite a lot over that subsequent lap. So going into lap 24, we're half a second behind, and we have DRS and Mav doesn't, which means that this ends up being somewhat of a slam dunk manoeuvre. We give him lots of nice space on the left hand side, don't really want to chop across him, and then make the corner absolutely no problem. And we've got a few laps left, so can we make up any more places? Well, Dale's ahead of us. He's on hards. He's been on them for a long time. And we've got 2 laps left, so we think, let's do this. Everything switched on. Tow, DRS, ERS, rich fuel, closing, going for the inside line. Not pass, so we're going to give him some space. He goes wide onto the left, so we think, okay, we'll hang back there to make sure he gets back on the track because we kind of forced him off. And we go for the inside line there. It's tighter, but we've got the grip. And we're able to then go round the outside, leaving the apex available to him if he needs to use it. But we've managed to get the job done, and we're now up into 9th place, which is really, I thought that was a good move. I'm quite happy with that one. Obviously the Ferrari not the fastest in a straight line, but Dale is obviously a very good and hard but fair racer. End of lap 27, and we're still in 9th place. We close to within 3 seconds of the cars in front of us, which is frustrating because I have 3 seconds of penalties that I probably shouldn't have got. And even though I managed to gain 1 place for Maxi's penalties and move up to 8th, it should have been more. Because if you take 3 seconds off of my time there, you'll see once it actually shows you the deltas between the other cars. If you take 3 seconds off of there, I would have been 6th, which I think would have been a really good result in a Williams. So that's the second race in a row where I've had a good result, a decent result, but could have been better. But through my own silliness, I've managed to kind of mess it up for myself, which is frustrating. But I think it's something I can improve on, and that's good because I can't improve the car. There's no development or anything like that. The car is what it is. It's a piece of junk, unfortunately. So I need to try and make the best of my driving. I need to make sure I don't get any silly penalties. I didn't make any mistakes in that race, I don't think. Maybe lap 2, the first couple of corners where I ran wide. That's pretty much it. I think I just need to keep on driving as well as I can. And then, the results won't come because it's a Williams. What can I do? But I just need to maximise what I can do. That's all I can do. And once I can get to the end of a race and think, do you know what? I haven't done anything wrong there. I couldn't have done any better. You know, just have to take the victories, small as they may be. Anyway, thank you very much for watching the video, and I hope you've enjoyed it. Do let me know what you thought about the video in the comments below. Really keen to know what people are making of these league race videos. Again, slightly different to the ones I used to do in that they've got a lot more of me talking over them. So keen to know what you think is good, what you think is bad, and that kind of thing. So let me know. Give us a like and a subscribe, all of that good stuff. if you enjoyed the video and you haven't already done so, and you can hit me up on the usual social media places and Discord, and that in the links below. And if you want to see these races live every Wednesday and Sunday night UK time, then you can do on my Twitch channel. The link is on the screen now. But yes, hopefully you've enjoyed the video. Until the next time and the next one, goodbye.